Just a minute, let's, okay. This is a meeting of the Consolidated Commission on Utilities for GPA and GWA matters. For the record, those present are myself, Commissioner Mchalco, Commissioner Santos, and our brand new Commissioner Martinez. So all 5 members are here. First order of business is approval of minutes. This is the minutes for the January swearing-in ceremony. And so moved. Second? 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 Okay. Any further discussion? This is subject to written correction. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? No. It's unanimous. Okay. We do have somebody who signed in from the public. And here? Well, have you give us your comments?
Can you hear me? My name is Dr. William Weir. Here to talk GPA matters. First is, how does their September 30th. And the second question I have is just of general interest. I go by Windmill Cross Island Road for the last 6 months. Not operating at all now, and I'd just like to know what the status of that facility is.
John, our general manager for GPA is Mr. John Donaventi. Mr. Weir. So the question is on the windmill, or
I'll ask Melinda to answer that, Mr.
okay.
Sir, the windmill is currently out of service, and we're securing technical support. There's some mechanical linkage. That's why it's been out of service, but we are.
Is that a GPA operation, or is that a private operation?
That's a GPA operation.
And when it was in service, what did it do?
It provided about can't remember the kilowatt.
About 265 kilowatts. About 265 kilowatts.
It was a pilot project that GPA.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm a solar generating customer, as some of you may have known. I've been here before. And your rules and regulations have changed rather dramatically over the last year. Perhaps the biggest one from my standpoint is that you've gone to an annual January to December monitoring of private people when that's not how you operate your business, because you go from October to September.
That's just a fiscal year?
Right. Well, we're talking fiscal here.
That doesn't affect how we operate. Manage the books.
Yeah.
We operate
Well,
365.
From my standpoint, it makes a big difference because, as you know, during the winter months, which the days are shorter and therefore power production is a bit smaller than it would be during the summer. And by doing that, you basically move the pendulum to GPA's favor rather dramatically, since all stops at December 30th. Currently, as I understand it, your residential production is limited to 25 kilowatts, which I think is probably reasonable. Most private residences, I don't think, exceed that, unless they have a marijuana production facility going on in their operations. But I really wonder about your 100 kilowatt limit for others, because that's really very limiting. There are a number of operations here on Guam that I think should be solar. Schools, clinics, government offices, buildings that operate during the day and not at night. Those, I think, would be ideal candidates. And not only are they ideal candidates, but there's funds available to put those systems in. And GPA has consistently discouraged this development. Rather aggressively, I might add. And that doesn't make sense as from a taxpayer standpoint. Just a few comments about your new generation proposal. You're putting in, as I understand it, a large generator up in Tangeeson.
Or which one are you?
Okay.
Eastern site's been retired.
Right, this is up on top, is my understanding. I live in the south, so. But my understanding is that this is one generator. And, you know, I kind of wonder why GPA didn't think back to what happened with Cabras, where they had several, and they had some power plants that went down, and we know that mechanical things do go down from time to time. And when you put all your eggs in one basket, I think you're asking for trouble. My opinion. And it's something I think you need to think about. I'm not sure that it has been thought about. I'd also like to talk about...
Dr. Burr.
Would you like the general manager to respond to some of that, just so that we can maybe get the record straight?
Yeah.
Okay, let me finish here. And you can-
Sure.
I also understand that we don't have any plans or operations for battery backup at this time. Okay. And the reason I bring this up is that we know that in the last 2 years since we started thinking about this, the price of oil has gone up 50%. And who knows where it's going from here. We also know that this oil is not just plain oil. This needs to be low sulfur oil. I'm not an expert on oil, but I am a semi-expert on World War II, and I know that oil that comes out of Indonesia is not low sulfur oil. So this means you're going to have to get your oil from other sources.
You
And
get it from Singapore, we've been getting it from Singapore,
Right,
and the refined
right.
oil we get from
right,
diesel, we get sulfur,
Right.
so we can get all three products.
you can at this time. Right.
We do.
I think it behooves you to look to find out where they get their oil. My guess is a lot of it comes from the Middle East. And well, that's the challenge, and the challenge is transporting it, getting it here, and storing it once it's here. I mean, you have a lot of challenges when we talk about this, and once you load it on a boat, whether it comes 1,000 miles or 500 miles, is so. But my point is that politics come into this, and I think we need to be making plans. And I think that possible we may want to get our oil from the States.
Pay a freight.
Well, you're going to pay the freight either way.
We're going to pay market prices.
Yeah. But we're talking about just getting the supply. Because if things blow up in Iran, they're the opening of the Hormuz Straits there, and transportation is going to be a big problem. Who knows what's going to happen? But as planners, I think we need to make sure that we plan for all possibilities. So perhaps you'd like to respond to some of those, just so that we can know where we are and where we're going.
Sure.
Go ahead, John.
I'll try and cover as much as you ask, and then if you want to follow up, that'd be great. First of all, we're not discouraging solar PV to be put in throughout the island. What you will see, and this is a docket before the PUC now, is really the compensation for solar rooftop. The net metering, as is known today, fully provides full credit to the solar PV owner. Therefore, what does that mean? Not even the 3 or 4 cents a kilowatt hour that is spent to pay for the depth today is borne by any of the solar PV providers. No, it's all borne by the non-solar PV providers. The depth is constant, so therefore as more people get out of the move out of us and into solar PV, the non-net metering customers are going to have to be paying more. So it really is more a matter of parity. And so what we're trying to do is try and get that compensation to what you call avoided cost or just above avoided cost. Therefore, it doesn't matter how much and who or what can put in. Then we can talk about bigger system, and then we can talk about more everyone that could and want to, based on their economics or whatever, put in the system, because then it doesn't impact anybody else in the ratepayer. This question was been brought up since 2014, where there was only a few customers. Today, as of when we filed the petition, the impact of our 1,700 customers was 3.8 million of subsidy from the net metering customers. Today, we have 2,200 customers, and the subsidy is up to 4.7. You add all the schools and Bill 219, which we oppose, and then that subsidy is over $15 million. So that's, we're trying to get parity so that it's fair throughout everybody, solar and non-solar customers. So that's the only we're not against anyone putting in. Is the compensation that we need to address, because it was done in the early stages, no real understanding or experience as to what the financial impact may be. But that now is really very apparent to all of us, no? Yes, the Ukudu plant is one power plant, but it does consist of 3 units, separate units, and 1 steam turbine. The other thing about the Ukudu plant is it's less complex than Cabot's steam or the slow-speed diesel. The Ukudu plant is going to have combustion turbines, and it's really similar to what we use in the airplanes. No? Remember how they used to have 4 engines? Then they went to 3, and now they've been running with 2. They're much more reliable and less complex to operate. In addition to that, we do have adequate reserves around the island to be able to cover when the machine is down. So that's the key, is the combination of all of that and the reserves. No? The other thing about the plan is, yes, you're correct about his one fuel, no? Ultra low sulfur diesel at the end. However, we're mitigating that by the plant is going to be capable of burning natural gas. So the whole plan, even the pipeline that's going to go up there is going to consist of dual fuel, ultra low sulfur diesel and natural gas. So therefore, again, we are looking, and of course natural gas can really come from the US for sure. The problem is, okay, we have to go out for bid for oil. No one from the United States has bid particularly for oil from the United States. We do have Mobil that has bid, and other companies, and they have brought it in from Singapore. How do we mitigate that? We also had 60 to 90 days of reserve in any one time on the island. So we're capable at least to bring in ships from other areas as necessary if that becomes an issue, no? But we hold 90-day supply, and that's why, when you see our LEAC, it takes a little while for in and out. We're not like the gas station where one day it just jumps up or jumps down. We have an inventory, and that's how we mitigate that, no? No bids from the States. Operation Ukudu plan. I'm just trying to address 2 years back. Okay, please.
Could I interrupt just a moment here?
Sure.
And just ask how you get around the Jones Act
How do you what?
how do you get around the Jones Act for bringing in?
Well, I don't know all the specifics, but I know that whatever ships that are coming here are compliant with the rules and regulations because they have to come through customs and everything like that. But I can find out for you, but I just don't have that answer for you.
Dr. Ware, I can help you with that. The Jones Act affects goods that are shipped from the United States to Guam. If they're shipped from the United States to Guam, they must use a U.S. bottom ship. But if we bring in oil from Singapore, it doesn't have to be on a U.S. ship. It can be on another flagship carrier.
The Jones Act regulates interstate commerce between the United States from 400. So you can bring in from England to New York or China.
You're China?
Trade with China a lot. Those aren't U.S. hulls. And they can land in San Francisco. So the Jones Act is only when Massachusetts is shipping to Guam. It's got to come on a U.S. hull.
And this is why your U.S. people aren't bidding because price them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that if a refinery in Texas tries to bid, the freight costs will, he can't compete.
So,
I agree.
so going further, I just want to get us to 2023, 2024. And that's when the power plant is going to come on the line. It's going to work well with the renewables. It's going to do all what I mentioned. It's going to reduce our import of oil by 1 million barrels a year, 42 million gallons. So we're going to go from 2.7 million consumption to 1.7. We're going to have 25% renewables. You see the going up here in Route 15 on the right side? That's a 60 megawatt solar utility scale at 8.5 cents a kilowatt hour. Another one is going to be built in London. Another one on Navy basis. So all of this coming together will bring us in about 2024 to 25% of our energy from that, in addition to one of the most efficient power plant in the world, because right now, out of 1 gallon of fuel, we get 15 kilowatt hours. The new power plant is going to give us 20 kilowatt hours per gallon of fuel. It's about 40% more efficient That's how come our consumption is going to go down. That's how come our total cost of energy in 2024 is going to come down to around the 18 to 20 cents to everybody. And not only that, but sustain it because we have a hedge on 25%. And by the way, over this coming year, next year, we're going to be asking the Commission and the PUC for about another 120 megawatts to be coming on the line 2025, 2028, and so on. So that by 2030, 50% of the island is going to be on solar, but the cornerstone is this Okudu power plant. Without it, we can't do anything else. See? So there now you have 50% hedge. Oil can go up and down, but now you're controlling your costs. We're finally being able, and then we can proceed forward with other even rooftops like you were mentioning, as long as we can get it to avoided cost, because we can't make it affordable if we keep paying market price for something that is only costing us half the cost. That's our only concern. That's what, it's a very difficult scenario, a difficult concept to have everybody understand, or not maybe understand but believe or whatever, but that's why it always seems like we're anti-solar, no? That's how that's really.
We're going to be the largest supplier. We're currently the largest single supplier of solar. Continue to be the largest supplier of solar. The new generator allows us solar, whereas the establishments are full.
Right.
We have been looking at this actually since 2008, when the law was passed by us and President set a renewable standard. It said 25% by 2035. We're going to hit it by 2024. Now we're shooting for 50% by 2035, and the legislature just 45. Direction we're going. I think we have a 40 megawatt battery we're online now also. We're doing solar and storage in combination. Looking at policies down the road that says when an individual put on solar, we ask them if they also. But you have those two technologies provide not only just energy, provide it reliable. As you know, solar goes up and down, so that battery smooths it out. Solar at night needs something. That Gpwa generators is heavy. Right. We're well on our way to migrating solar and storage away from oil. The greatest degree of technology and some of it is you ride that technology curve up and you ride the price curve down. You try to go 100, we looked at 100% solar today. It'd be extremely expensive and we would worry about reliability for the intermittency. To place Guam at 100% solar, you have to have plenty of capacity, and all the batteries to back it up. And if Typhoon Simon rips off 20% of the solar at one time, you gotta have backup for that. You have to think about all of those. Why we bought this generator? And it's the backup to solar. And it's a bit, ironic for people say, you're gonna have to need oil to back up solar. Still solar can provide 100% energy all the time, meet all the demand for the community at a lower price than oil plus solar. Ratepayers only have so much money. Trying to find the lowest combination of cost to them, keep their rate affordable. And it's a migration to 100% solar. Most things you just can't do it overnight. So we're migrating. We started in 08. Built the first solar farms in Dundas. We're adding all this solar capacity. We have a solar awarded protest ready to go. The Navy gave us land for solar. 40 megawatt battery online now. We're testing it. 11 groundbreaking and all that, but we've been testing it for 8 months now. And so we're putting all those pieces, renewable energy, that we can, just as John said, get away from oil, hedge against oils up and down, and moving to solar at a pace where it's affordable. And then when we buy solar from you as an individual or a company, we go to avoid cost. We don't care whether we buy it from you or from ourselves. Right now, we're paying 23 cents a kilowatt hour for your solar. Our two bids that we're building down in Mila, 11 cents a kilowatt hour with storage. So why would we ask ratepayers to get solar? We're going to buy an EPA for the only solar they can get because of their economic reasons. Why would they pay 20? Why would we make them pay 23 cents? We can make our own solar for 11. So to migrate towards everyone paying no more than 11, us not paying more than 11 to someone like you or some company that puts up their solar, we want to move to this idea of avoid cost. Solar avoids fuel cost. No argument. But it doesn't avoid the cost of the generator tonight, and it's providing the energy that everybody with a solar array in the roof here. That generator, you guys need that generator tonight, and the people renting it, fuel that goes into it.
We do it this time.
Right, and we're gonna need
But
it for a
if
while.
you have battery backup and the price of batteries is going
Good.
down,
Right,
the
right.
price of fuel
Let me
is
explain
going
that.
up.
It's gonna take us the way we're planning it. If we look at pricing and technology, B35, where we think we'll get to 50. And again, this technology allows us to move forward. I can't think of it. There's only one community I know that's 100% solar. We could go to 100% solar, and get triple our power.
Yes.
Why would we do that?
If, if I take you back, oh, Mr. Chair?
I'm not
Okay.
trying to.
Okay. Dr. Weir, this is all good discussion, but we tried to limit our public comments because we have a meeting to get to.
I understand.
What I would like to offer you is, we would be glad to have you come back and sit at another time, and we would be glad to go through these things with you. But unfortunately, at our commission meetings, we do allow a short amount of public comment.
If you would give me 3 more minutes.
Okay, sure.
The last thing that I would like to complain about, already complained about how you do your figures.
Okay.
And that is the fact that your hookup fee is not part of in other words, if I give you so much power, still required to pay the hookup fee every month.
Customer fee.
So we can give you power.
That's correct. But I'm also attached to your system so you can take power from me during the day. So this is a two-way street.
Okay.
And if you're, no, you don't pay me because
We give you a credit.
you give me a credit, but you don't give me a credit for that hookup.
Dr. Weir, that takes a little more of an explanation. So I would be glad to have you schedule a time when we can sit with you. Okay?
Okay.
That would be preferable. So just long as our staff, please make sure they know your contact information, your phone number or emails.
Yes, we can discuss it.
And we'll be glad to get back to you and schedule a time. Because you're having a lot of good discussion. It's just that at our meetings, we try to limit public comment.
I understand.
Okay?
But
Commissioner Chaco.
say my position is that GPA is very aggressive at going after people who are stealing their power. And in this instance, the shoe's on the other foot. Because that's what's happening.
We wouldn't characterize it that way, but Commissioner Chaco.
Oh, I know you wouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, wait.
But I don't believe I believe we can still get answers to Dr. Weir's questions without, waiting till the next meeting.
Oh, no.
So we should get him answers as quickly as we
Oh,
can.
yes, definitely.
I'll prepare a written
Yeah,
response, provide.
Thank you,
John will
Mr. Chair.
contact him.
And actually, we can provide my email and we can communicate. That might be even more efficient.
Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Weir.
Okay. John, you have the floor for you want to have any updates on your GM report or?
I would like to go to, Mr. Chair, to the resolutions first, if you will.
Okay,
And
okay,
then,
no problem.
I think I presented last time, if you want me to go through the GM, I can just do a highlight on
Okay.
that. But
That'll be fine.
first of all, thank you, GM, Daddy, for allowing me to be first today. The first resolution is 2021-04. And this is authorizing us to petition the PUC actually for the extension of the diesel fuel oil supply. And these are the oil that are provided to the peaking plants. We're talking about the oils to Jigo, Machechi, PD, and Cabras. What I'd like to note, Mr. Chair, is that we have it's a 2-year bid plus 3 1-year options. So what we're asking to implement is the 3-year 1-year option, and by doing so, really, our reasoning is this: the cost of per gallon on the premium is only going out like 5 cents a gallon. Okay, over the next 3 years, over 3 years. But even if you take the last year of that period, it's still lower than the original bid price. So in other words, it was 24 cents before, and it became 22 something. So it's still going to end up at 23. So it's usually the same companies that bid. So we don't see any real value of going out for a bid and going through this whole process again. In fact, we believe we have a good pricing as we have it today. So we're recommending that we allow us to go ahead and extend the contract for the balance of the 3 years for both mobile and IP&E. They're the only two. So that's what resolution.
Okay.
Resolution.
Is there a motion to
for?
approve this resolution? And then, so move. Is there a second? Second. Are there any other questions? We dealt with this in the work session. Do we have any further questions? Commissioner Michalko.
Let's see. No questions for me, but I wanted to offer up the opportunity for our new commissioner to, would you like to know more about the resolution?
I sure
or
do.
have any questions?
Yeah, none.
Okay.
This is all new to me, so.
Yeah, so this is a perfect opportunity to, for the management to explain it in more detail. We went through it in our working session, but we can go through it in as much detail as you need to help, make a decision on it, because we will be voting on it, so.
Sure, but I wouldn't take too much of that time.
Sure.
I mean, maybe at another time I can come over and you can sit with him. I mean, as far as,
Oh, no, we're going to vote on it, we're going to vote on it today,
that's
so.
fine. I have no objection.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So as you know, Commissioner Martinez, GPA buys oil on a regular basis. This is one of the oil contracts we must approve on a regular basis. Make sure we have a supplier. These are, and as you know, you've been in the airport and all that. There's only so many oil companies. It's all
Vendors.
coming out of Singapore. And so now the longtime partners, Mobile and IP&E, who have won and lost bids in the past, they have won this bid. Our contracts usually have a 3-year term with 2 1-year options, and they're now, management is asking, because of the pricing is good, to approve the. So you'll see a lot of these 3-1-1 other oil contracts and other transactions.
And if the options come back maybe not favorable, they have the opportunity to put it out for bid again if there's enough time. So they've reviewed it, and they're advising that it's consistent with what has been awarded in the past.
And our current oil contracts end in December. Here we are, this early in the year, making a decision on Lifeline, fuel Lifeline, to, from whom will we buy fuel? We want to make that decision now, long before the December.
Because the
management
extent,
is recommending that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
realizing that there's a savings also for the next 3 years.
Yes, they're entrusted with reviewing these awards to make sure that they're consistent and there's no, major outliers to draw attention to. If they do see that, they bring it to our attention. We ask the questions, we vet it. Potentially, it might have to go out for bid. We have that issue with our insurance that's coming up that we'll have to address. So.
And one of the things you'll learn from when you buy fuel, you're not really bidding on we're not really awarding contracts based on the price of fuel, because we'll always pay market price. We're essentially bidding on the cost for IP&E or Mobile or whoever the vendor is to bring the refined fuel from Singapore to Guam. There's a freight component, there's an insurance component, and other costs
Handling.
to get the tanker component, other costs to get it here. You'll see all of our oil contracts are market price for the commodity, and the bidding is really what is vendor Francis going to charge to bring it from Singapore? What is vendor Simon going to charge to bring it from Singapore? We've never had any vendor, Michael, say, I'm going to bring it from Texas, because they know it's not competitive. So we're approving contracts for longtime providers of fuel on Guam, who refine it in Singapore like jet fuel for the airport, right? Same. We are exercising the back to the 1-1 options on the 3-1-1 original contract. So the 3 is up. We want to exercise the option, management saying, yep.
That's good. Okay. Any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. John, next resolution?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution number 2021-05, that's relative to the write-off of Guam Power Authority receivables determined to be uncollectible. I'd like to turn that over to our CFO, and he also has the additional information that was requested by the CCU.
Yes, on the last working session, they asked about how many customers are we writing off. We looked at it, we counted about 400.
Okay. Any further questions? No? Commissioner Sanchez, I'm
Move to
sorry.
approve resolution 2021-05, Mr. Chairman, relative to the writing off the Guam Power Authority receivables, determined to be uncollectible. This is about $485,694.38.
Okay. Second? No further discussions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you,
Next, John.
Sir. Next resolution 2021-06. Again, this is to authorize us to procure and actually it's a combination of GPA 2021-06 and GWA 15-FY 2021. And that's to authorize the joint procurement for merchant services or credit card type of services. And again, this is for 1 year with 4 additional 1-year options. And it is over $1.3 million, which the threshold requires us to come to you. And also because it's a period of potentially 5 years, anything over 1.5 million has to go to the PUC for their approval. So we're asking that from you. And this is the case where there's also the Guam Solid Waste
Okay.
has been asking us to be in the joint procurement. I think there may be some concerns from the commission about.
Commissioners, the nice thing about doing this on Thursday and having the weekend is I keep thinking about this, and I'm a little uncomfortable with including Guam Solid Waste in this procurement because it's a procurement, and the procurement for GPA and GWA, no problem. We're the board, we have the authorization to tell them to go procure. But GSWA is I don't know what we're approving here.
Did their board approve? I know they're in a funky situation because their manager's actually off island.
Yeah.
Did the GSWA board approve the management's recommendation to piggyback with GWA or GPA? Or are we aware whether GSWA followed their process for approval?
The procurement bid was given to the package. The draft package has been given to Guam Solid Waste, and they looked at it and they came back with some comments with gave clarification. So they're okay with the package. When I talked to Kathy, she said the board is okay with them including in our. They're the one who are asking us to include it in.
Did she provide evidence of the board okay with them?
I mean, we haven't passed our resolution though. They haven't.
Yeah, but your resolution wants us to include them, which we could be open to.
We could be open to
But we
it.
need to know that their board has said okay to their management's recommendation, like you do to us.
Yes.
To come to us.
Recommending they piggyback with us. Did their board approve it, or is there some proof that a manager is authorized by the board to act on their own for a joint procurement.
Well, my understanding is a discussion with Kathy is that you got authorized to piggyback with us. But if you're asking for a resolution, I don't have that.
Commissioner Erling talking.
But what you're asking for is authorization to submit a request for proposal, right? So
Yes.
so what we would advise is that prior to including GSWA in that request for proposal, that you ask them for their board to have a resolution that allows for them to enter into the joint procurement.
Yes, sure. I could ask them for that.
Yeah, because my concern is the fact that we're dealing with a vendor. And the vendor knows us and GPA and GWA, so we are going to lock ourselves in with a contract. I don't want the vendor to think that we're locking in for GSWA and that we're somehow guaranteeing their side. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, so all I'm saying is just to keep it legal and not have any protests with somebody that says, I'm just,
good point, Mr. Chairman. I think the other thing is, this is just the fee three companies will pay the merchant, the credit card vendor. The funds are not commingled.
yes.
When you run a credit card at
Right.
GSWA, that goes to GSWA. When Miguel's team runs it, it goes to Miguel's wallet. And when you run it, it goes to your wallet. So it's not a commingling, it's just a fee that you charge to customers, or that the fee that we absorb on their behalf is lower. So that's why we like the idea. I'm sure that's why GSWA likes the idea. We just need their formal okay. But just for the record, there's no commingling of funds, which would be a concern of all of ours. And this
Well-
is, if we're successful on getting a good price, we would
They
know what
share in it.
GWA's price would be, the merchant price would be, we would know what GPA's merchant price, and possibly, depending on getting a correct approvals, we would know if the merchant's okay, saying, okay, we'll also give that same price to GSWA.
I have a suggestion, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
We have a process that we're going to go to the, after your decision, we're going to the PUC, and then it's still going to take some time. They have to approve and all of this. So I suggest that so that we don't hold up the procurement, we go ahead and probably strike from the resolve, the solid waste will be included in this joint procurement at this time. Let them come up with their own resolution and everything, requesting, and then we'll bring it back to you in April and follow it up with the PUC, because the PUC still has 1, 2, or 3 months before they make this decision. And so therefore there is an opportunity, and if that's the wish of the commission, we'll go back to them and try to formalize it and work out all the other details and then come back to you in April maybe.
Okay, let me give you a little bit more of some of my thought.
Yeah.
See, one of the things I was thinking, I thought we can all go in a procurement to try and get the best price for all three companies. One company is not ours, okay? But I thought my process would be to ask the question, are we getting them the good price, but they'll have their own credit card machines and totally separate from us? That to me would be the cleanest way to do it. But because we're such a big user, we could get them a good price if they bundle with us. So that's the part I need clarity on. I'm a little nervous if you say that we're taking their payments. I don't think we should take their payments.
We're not.
Okay, no, I just want clarity.
So I suggest we come back to you in April and answer all those questions. But
Well, the commingling, there's no commingling.
no, but other things, I mean,
The other thing, yeah, the board.
for example, they come in here because they say we can take GWSA payment,
No.
but they want to pay in cash.
That's not what this resolution is asking.
That's what I'm trying to get at, clarity.
This
What are
just
we?
says that when someone gives a credit card, what's the fee we pay that credit card vendor?
The fee would be locked in,
And
yeah.
that's all we
That's
care
what I'm
about,
thinking.
right? But when GSWA is just saying, hey, can I get your same fee? Can I
Yeah.
join in with your fee? But the credit card will be run at the GSWA, that revenue just goes to
Yeah.
GSWA,
Yes.
the revenue, the credit card run here, just
What
goes to
I'm
us.
saying is if they come in here to run that credit
You
card,
wouldn't take them.
You wouldn't
don't
take them.
GSWA payments now, do you?
No, we don't.
Then you don't take their payment.
Okay,
You're not going to open it downstairs to give the convenience
No,
to GSWA?
no, you don't, we don't take their payment, we're,
Simon, so you get a separate zone machine, right? Stick it in.
No. What,
No,
Rick?
I'm asking the question, are we not gonna allow a GSWA customer who just happens to be a GPA customer and a GWA customer, because chances are we all have trash, right?
Okay.
So we take the trash and we don't wanna dump it on the street, so we're telling, here's a convenience for you by coming to 7, 8 sites to pay, whatever the case is. And we're saying no to that? Am I just gonna be clear that all we're doing is providing convenience via a rate? We're not extending this service to include, when I present my bill downstairs, can you please take my GSW payment, so I don't have to go to PPW? Make a payment.
So it's my understanding, correct me if I'm
Is that-
wrong,
is that what
that's
we're
not,
doing or not?
they're not asking that.
No, this is only for the fee for the credit cards.
So we don't currently take GSWA payments now at all.
Yeah, so we've been having discussions how to go about doing that, yes.
Well,
But-
then I'm with you, that's a different discussion.
That's a different
This is just a
discussion.
credit card fee
Yeah, that's-
discussion.
Yes.
That's why I prefer that I bring it back to you in April, but allow us to proceed with our procurement because we have a timing.
Yeah.
I think a decision in April, and the PUC may ask this question when it comes to them anyway. We will have an answer for them by us coming back in April. But-
GSA, Kathy from yes. They
Kathy
asked
Kikini.
us to piggyback.
They heard that, and Andy Gill, he knew that we got a good credit card fee
Yeah.
rate.
So we can,
It's the best in the government, right? It's the lowest
yeah,
rate.
so we can assist them at the, what you call it, what the board commission, but I think we need to get more information, package it up, and then bring it to you,
Okay.
because I'm not in the loop yet on this, all of this, except for, just the.
Commissioner Mtalco.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, JB, you're going to remove resolve number 2?
That's correct.
Okay, and then, so the merchant services, number of transactions, amount processed, and the credit card rate that you have here on the board books, John, maybe you want to pull it up here. But, so your amount processed has steadily gone up
Yes.
especially through the pandemic,
Yes.
but the rate has increased?
No.
Shouldn't we see more rate decrease with that amount of transactions increasing? Aren't those inversely related?
No, this is a rate. When we say rate, it means not the number is the rate of charge. So there's combinations. So we have fixed rates on MasterCard, which is 75 cents for residential customers, and for commercial it's $1.50. But in MasterCards they have not Visa card. Visa card has an interchange rate, plus the bank fee is like 0.001, very small percentage. So if you, and also for debit cards, those are like 25 cents per transactions. And also this included here is a Discover card also gave us a fixed fees. So if you combine all the rates divided by what we what the revenues, then it
come
comes
up
to
with
your
the
credit
rate.
card rate. And
So-
that's the rate that previously
The
we
blended
had.
rate.
Yeah.
Okay, but the RFP, do you anticipate that rate going down because of the procurement process? Having them bid on it, do you foresee that blended rate going down?
No, 1.1 is actually very good. I think it's probably remain the same. But if you were able to get Visa and the utility rate, then yes, the rate will go down.
Okay.
But right now, the problem is for Visa, Guam is not considered is part of Oceanic rather than the U.S.
U.S. or foreign country. Okay, so with Commissioner Martinez.
Just one question. In March 2016, was GSWA included in the original?
No, they weren't.
This is their first time they're asking.
You're asking.
When they heard, we got a better rate 3-5 years ago, and, it's a small island, all the accountants talk to each other, word got out that we got a really good rate, so it didn't surprise me that someone asked to piggyback, but we have our concerns, so we're gonna table the piggyback part, consider at least doing the couple of them. Gonna get rid of the whereas and the resolve.
Let's move on to the next.
Yeah, well, Graham, could you fix the resolution? And we'll vote on it after we move forward to the next one? Okay,
Yeah, and then
no,
then I'm gonna bring it into the
okay, you can't just, okay,
So that he
Okay.
has a record that
I go to
Okay.
the GM
Okay.
report, bring it in.
okay, I'm fine. Motion? Anybody want to make a motion?
I know you gotta get rid of a whereas and a resolve.
It's Resolution 2021. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve GPA Resolution 2021-06 and GWA Resolution 15-2021 with the following amendment. On page 1 of the resolution, delete the whereas on lines 18 and 19 that were GSWA. And on the resolve, Commissioner Lupiaca pointed out, delete line 10, number 2, one solid waste will be included in the joint food. Other than that, I think, and Grant, correct me if I'm wrong, those are the only two references to GSW. The rest is related strictly to GP and GWA.
Okay. Okay,
That's
so.
the motion to
so-
amend the resolution to delete those.
Okay,
two
so we have a motion already to approve the resolution. Did
sections.
somebody
I'm
move?
sorry, so I move to amend
No,
Commissioner Santos's resolution to just,
motion.
to motion to remove
Make
the
those-
whereas and the resolved language that pertains to GSW.
Okay, so is there a second to your amendment? Second? Okay.
Now, on the
Further
amendment.
discussion? No further discussion? On the amendment, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay? Unanimous. On the main motion now, as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimous. Okay, well, that's being redone.
Thank you,
Let's move
Mr.
on to
Chair.
the next resolution.
Resolution 2021-07, GPA 2021-07, and GWA Resolution 16, that's FY 2021 relative to approval of Board's confirmation of management's March 2020 pandemic pay decision. As the GM, we're ready to take the lead on this, please, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
As after our previous meeting where we presented
The work session?
on the audit on the emergency pay, the board asked us to prepare a resolution just confirming that. This resolution lays out the sequence of events in a very brief format and provides that the board does affirm the decisions that were made by both agencies with regard to the emergency pay and then aligning with the agency's opinion on legislation.
Okay.
And that's all contained and presented in the motion. I'm sorry, in the resolution.
Okay. We discussed this resolution. Commissioner Francis Santos. Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Sanchez. Further discussion? No? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimous. John, is that finish it for you?
Yes, Mr. Chair, but also we discussed in the issues for discussion, disconnection. And
Okay.
although we don't have a resolution, we wanted to present to you our plan. And we're, again, subject to any concerns you may have. But again, addressing past due service disconnection,
Okay.
joint utility proposal, and then I'll ask Miguel to chime in on certain areas, no?
Okay.
Or Chris. First of all, Mr. Chair, I'd like to really note up front that, again, the shutdown since March of last year, and there were so many things that both the utilities have done to try and help the customer to make sure, through this period of time. And again, we suspended payment, GPA suspended late fees, we lifted credit card payments and allowed commercial accounts to pay for, which they weren't able to do before. During the period, the LIA was lowered and maintained even at a cost. We opened up maintained call centers even throughout the the pandemic, and we enroll customers in flexible payment plans. In addition, even from September to February, we open up payment drive-through services, increase customer communications, again, relaunch other ways to pay so that customers didn't have to come into the system, come into the offices. We launched Pay Alert, power outage confirmations. We've also conducted a customer engagement survey. We implemented flexible account service and advocated for relief from the pandemic relief for our utilities. There are some funds coming in for utility payments, and we're advocating, trying to get them to be provided to us in their behalf to help pay off some of this. So again, we've been, and looking forward. We've done quite a bit. So here towards now that we're rolling out of the pandemic, we're trying to put in a reasonable disconnection plan, meaning we got it getting back to normal, and actually better than what was normal before. Next. So again, what's our purpose here? Again, to continue to assist and support ratepayers and provide a seamless return to normal conditions, allowing reasonable time for ratepayers to address the delinquency that they have. It's been 1 year now since some of them have not even been paying, or for whatever reason. Reinstitute utility disconnection in a fair, reasonable manner. The action we're taking is, again, action for the ratepayer. We're going to promote local and federal assistance program, try to assist them, expanded utility customer service. And again, the payments from this assistance will be credited to their cards, and again, to maximize the program benefit to them. So the date we've agreed to begin disconnection is June 1st. And so, although, I think it's a reasonable period of time to, and again, you see what we plan to do, no? And what we're doing is we're going to continue the suspension of credit card restriction and expand convenience. We're going to allow them to pay with the credit cards, no? Okay. We're going to assist with the programs that we can, get for them. We're going to support anything legislation that could provide assistance to the utility, no? And offer flexible, affordable payment plan options. We're going to work with the customer. Next. I'll give you the demographics of GPA's thing. About 93% of the customers have been paying their bills. So for us, about 7%, about 3,400 customers have a receipt of 5.3 million, of which 4.6 is greater than 30 days, no? An average of 1,549. As you can see in the commercial customers, and I have this percentage of over 70-some% owe between $1 and $5,000. In residential postpaid, about 84% owe between $1 and $2,000. And then residential prepaid, this is where it is like your prepaid phone. You load up the money as you go along. They also, about 90-some% are between $1 and $2,000. Next. Again, our proposed payment plan on GPA now is to auto-enroll in a 12-month payment plan. In other words, even if we say on June 1st we're going to collect $2,000, it's not going to happen. It's a plan for failure in our thoughts. So what we want to do is just take all of everyone's what they owe, divide it by 12, so then the next month's bill, they pay the current bill plus that 112, no? So that, and that gives you some good average numbers that I think could be affordable or at least manageable. Any additional problems beyond that, we will again work with the customer based on other programs like a tiered program. Tier program is more like the prepaid. We can say their debt recovery is 50%. So whatever they put in, like $20, 50%, $10 is used to recover their debt, $10 is used to give them more power. We're starting out with a number somewhere around there, and then we can work with the customer again. No, as long as we try to collect within the 12-month period or so, as best we can. And again, the other one is the term. Some may want, okay, they can only afford to pay so much over the 12 months and then one balloon at the end. That's potentially another way to work with some of these commercial customers or others. So there is some flexibility, but I think it allows us a plan that we can administratively handle and also provides the customer more opportunity to pay us and therefore get out and get back to some kind of normalcy for the utility at that. Again, we're going to continue to push for this type of programs that are here. We did a survey of so many customers that were delinquent. 90% of the customers on the auto enroll like the auto enroll, the 12 months. In the commercial, a lot of them say maybe 7 to 12 months they can pay off. So again, these decisions here were somewhat based by that survey of, I believe, 200 some customers that are on the delinquency list. So that's some basis for what we're trying to do. No, next. I'll ask Miguel or Chris. You want to explain this one?
Thank you, Mr. B. The profile of the GWA ratepayers receivables as of February 18th. For residential customers, we have 87% in good standing with 13% past due, 30 days and beyond. That comes to almost 5,000 accounts and about $3.1 million outstanding. If you look at the chart on the top, if you see that blue line, that represents the amount owed, or the 3.1 million, and the orange line represents the number of customers. So you can see the dramatic difference between the pre-COVID receivables and the post-COVID. Moving on to the commercial receivables, 94% are in good standing, 6% past due. That's 164 commercial accounts, and the total amount owed is 231,417. And you can see that amount is approaching pre-COVID levels, so that's a good sign from the commercial sector. Next slide. So for the payment plan options that we're offering customers, they'll be eligible for up to a 12-month payment plan. That plan will be distributed, the past due amounts equally across the number of months that the customer selects for their repayment. And then their average monthly billing is also factored in to that payment so that it ensures the customers remain current. And then a promissory note would be required, as are normal procedures with payment plans.
Okay. Commissioner Sanchez, you have a question?
So, just one more slide, Mr. and then we're done.
The outreach.
We understand that we have to get this message out to all the public. So again, these are the programs, over the next few months here, where we're going to be websites, social media, newsletters, billings, radio interviews, different scenarios, village outreach. We're going to go work with the mayors and everything, so make them understand. So we're going to do an outreach over this period of time, before we get to June 1st, and try and make that happen.
Okay.
That's it, Mr. Chair. Welcome to.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So GPA is proposing auto enroll, you're automatically in, and it's 12 months, right? Versus, we don't give a customer, hey, give me a 6-month, give me a 9-month. The plan is auto enroll, 12 months. I didn't hear, Chris, whether GWA also has auto enroll, and then it sounds like the customer can negotiate with GWA how many months. Is there a reason why one is auto enroll at GPA and GWA is not auto enroll, where we just say, hey, we know you're delinquent, you're in this repayment program? If I understand GPA, that's how you're doing it. You're just saying, hey, now Simon, you're delinquent. I don't really have a choice. I won't disconnect you, but you are automatically enrolled into the 12-month payment plan. I didn't hear that on the GWA side. It's more an option, and both to enroll and how many months?
Well, it wouldn't be an option to enroll, so if you
It would not be an option?
It would not be an option.
So it's auto-enroll also?
Well, it's not auto-enroll, but customers will be required to enter a payment plan, or they'll be subject to disconnection if they
So
don't.
why the difference between, you have auto-enroll here and you don't have auto-enroll here?
So we hadn't contemplated doing an auto-enroll feature up until this time. So I know GPA has been planning it. We have not. So it would require some programming on our side with our customer billing system, and we just haven't had, we just didn't consider it at this time.
Could you consider auto-enroll? Would it be a technical, is there, I mean, assuming the board likes the idea. I like the idea of auto-enroll. It just sort of simplifies it for the customer, right?
I have a question along with your line.
So that was the first question.
Yeah, no, that's the first question.
And the term.
Okay.
This is automatic. Auto-enroll 12, you don't have to auto-enroll and you have options. I'm
Okay,
wondering if you simplify it.
the only question I have, whether you do auto-enroll, is if you do auto-enroll, can the customer come back and say, well, I never agreed to that. I didn't sign a payment plan, so therefore,
Then we're going to disconnect you then.
okay, no. That was my question. So, in other words, there has to be this extensive.
Opt out. You can opt out of auto-enroll.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. See, I'm just saying, you need to make sure that, because if they want to opt out, then you disconnect them. But,
Or they'll
but,
pay it faster.
or they'll pay faster, who knows? But it's just, and some may want to pay faster.
But there's
Some-
no prepayment penalty too. So if
And
you're
there's no prepayment
Well, so
penalty.
if you were auto-enrolled and you paid it in 7 months instead of 12, John Kim's not going to complain.
Yeah, no, but that was what I just came up with, if, do we allow them to have an opt-out if they want to, and they want to say, I'll just pay it now?
We can say it's the the auto-enroll is the minimum you can pay. That way, then if you
That's the
don't,
maximum you can do. You're giving them a 12-month payment plan. If they want to pay it in 3 months, you're not going to say no.
minimum payment required to not be disconnected, I guess what I'm
Because you're
saying.
amortizing over 12.
That's right.
That-
So if you
that's
want
where-
to pay
that's how you
more, you
calculate the
just pay more, no, if they don't want to pay at all, then it's going to be automatically disconnected.
Yeah.
Right. The minute, well, if you auto-enroll, the minute I miss a payment,
Yeah.
you drop the hammer, right? So I'm just trying to simplify it for the ratepayer where I like auto-enroll and I like 12 months with no prepayment so that Simon's automatically in if he's delinquent. He knows he's got 12 months to pay current plus 112. And if he walks in one day because his, what's that next check we're getting from Biden comes in and he says, I'm going to pay you off, there's no penalty there's no prepayment penalty. And that would just simplify it for both, I think it would simplify it for both organizations. Auto-enroll, up to 12 months, no prepayment. Would that work for you guys? Does it work for the board?
The only other concern I would have is that I just lost my thought, getting old. Okay.
So you're automatically enrolled at
Yeah.
both companies. You have up to,
Here's the thing, Simon. Usually, our customers are used to the fact that if they don't make a payment, they don't get disconnected. What happens is the next bill shows the arrearage, and it says, you must pay this within so many days, okay? So that would still happen with the auto-enroll. You would send
it would only
out.
go to those that auto-enroll.
Yeah, no, but what I mean is, yeah, wait, no, my point is, you would have to send that out so that then they would have that opportunity to pay, and if they don't make that payment, then they will be disconnected. In other words, the first time that they miss their payment, every month they're making a payment, and they're paying their regular bill, and then they're paying their
How are you going to tell
their
them it's worse than-
amortized balance, okay, what they're paying off in the balance. If they don't pay that bill, then they get a second bill that says you have now,
You've missed your payment.
you've missed your payment, so now this has to be paid within, I don't know, Commissioner, Muslim Chaco, our assistant, yeah, I'm sorry.
You're absolutely
Okay,
So generally 45 days, once you're past due, you become disconnected.
yeah,
Within those 45 days, if you did not make payment number one, you will get that next billing statement that says, here's your past due. It's due immediately, or
Okay.
you're subject to disconnection. Same rules apply.
okay. And all I'm saying is, then when we get to the education part, make sure we highlight that, so that they understand that, you know, when you get to that 45-day, whatever, when they get that second bill, that's it. And is that the same understanding on GWA, Chris? The fact that usually on our bills, we send out a bill. The person doesn't pay the bill, for whatever reason. Then you send out a second bill. And the second bill says, you are now in arrears, and this bill is due immediately. There's, you know, it doesn't say your date is so much. It's due immediately, and you're subject to disconnection. Is that the same thing?
Yes.
Okay. So with those features, the only thing now is we have to make sure we do a good job on the public outreach. So that, you know, so everybody understands. Commissioner Santos.
Good question, where are we on asking, for help?
Oh, okay.
There's programs that you guys listed there, are we making progress? You can write the governor directly, say,
Yeah.
drop the ratepayers, give us some money, what's the plan?
So we spoke with Bernie Lyons and DOA this
Right.
They processed 1,000 applications. They approved approximately application from DOA by Thursday or Friday. So GWA and GPA both agreed to provide to DOA directly ratepayer information so that the checks can be processed very quickly. Checks will come in. I'm sorry?
That check is cut directly, it's not cut to the.
Electronic, correct, and it's cut directly to each utility, and so we have that. Both customer service managers are working on that. As far as the homeowner assistance fund, that's new. It's new with the American Recovery, whatever the last is. Yeah, so that's new. That is for homeowners. So the big distinction is that the ERA is for renters.
Renters, yes.
And this
Okay.
is for homeowners. This fund is not as generous as the ERA. And
Okay.
so Tolling was gracious enough to ask DOA if they would be administering this program, and they said yes, but they don't have the details yet. So
They
we'll
haven't
probably
put it
follow
in.
the same
Okay.
rules. The LEHEAP is something that we continue to advocate for our ratepayers. LEHEAP money, the additional money that came from COVID relief packages, is coming to Guam, but it is not being offered to the ratepayers.
Okay.
That the grant funds is consolidated into a community block grant that goes to public health.
Okay.
And yes, we
Commissioner,
have been asking.
Commissioner Martinez.
I just wanted to find out that the programs on the different 1, 2, and 3 are nice proposal, really. My question is, first, if you look at number 1, it's an automatic thing. Let's move forward. You know, putting a deadline or having June 1st as a date of this out there is just going to create more. For me, I like the plan. The plan is good. But I think I'm not too comfortable with putting out some dates there. I mean, we already speak for it. We have everything out. And on the next slide where you show the media type, the
outreach.
marketing side, how are we going to go out and get those people? It's great, wonderful, but I think more effort should be put there to the person who really owes the money and make every effort to go knocking and say, hey, look, we have this program. This program is good. We gotta set up that personality thing there. It's a scary mode now. So just want to share that.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Yeah, so Commissioner Martinez, I think, as you know, we suspended disconnections when COVID started. So we haven't disconnected anybody in a year. The June 1st date is to establish a date that says, hey, now that we're recovering, we need to have some point where we tell people, you still got to pay your bill. Yes, it's been tough, but we have 95% paying their bill, and we got 5% getting free service, right? And that's not fair to the 95. So the date just says that even if you're automatically enrolled in the next 75 days, if you miss a payment after June 1st,
That's when.
now we're going to disconnect you. Just like before COVID, we would say, after 60 days or 90 days, we disconnect you. So the date is important, that people know after this date, we will resume disconnections that we stopped a year ago, just so that they know. Because if one of the things we learned is when we stopped disconnections, people stopped doing payment plans. Why? They knew they weren't going to get disconnected. That's how the receivable grew. All of a sudden say, hey, why should I pay? They're not disconnecting. So part of the incentive for you to pay your power bill or your water bill is if you don't, you get disconnected. Because it's not fair for others to pay and you not to pay. So you need a date. When do we go back to a system that says if you don't pay, you get disconnected? For the past year plus, since March of 2020, we have not disconnected you whether you paid or not, right? But the June 1st date is critical to tell the ratepayer who is delinquent, we'll put you in a payment plan, but if you miss a payment after June 1st, we have to do something because everyone else is paying their bill. We can't just let you not pay your power bill forever. So what's the date that you establish to say after this date, if you don't pay your power bill or water bill, or you don't pay your payment plan, we will do what we've done for 60 years. We will disconnect you at some point after June 1st. So that's the logic of setting a date. If you don't set a date, when would they disconnect? If I miss my payment plan in August, September, I'm automatically enrolled. I don't make payments June, July, or August. When are you going to disconnect me? Never. That's why the June 1 was set, that says even if Simon has a payment plan, if he misses a payment plan after this date, we can disconnect him. And then, as you know, all the bills tell you, hey, you're delinquent. There's many ways we're doing the outreach and the marketing, as you're recommending, that we continue. We're telling folks, hey, we're giving them 3 months notice now that, after June 1, we're going to have to go back to the old, the standard business. But here's a way we can help you, and we're going to even automatically enroll you at GPA, maybe GWA, and but even after we do that, after June 1, if you miss a payment, we can disconnect you. So that's sort of the logic of why you have a date. You have to have a date where you start disconnecting again.
Okay.
Let me just answer back then. So we do have a plan. You have who's going to draft up that promissory note, or we have all of those.
We have payment plan forms already.
I'm saying we're going to go into that program, number one, and say we're going to do something. So you document something. So comes April 1st. I signed up for that I need to pay up and get this thing done.
Or GPA saying they're just going to enroll you. If you're delinquent, they're just going to enroll you in the program.
Okay, enroll you, yeah, and it's a 12-month program. Okay, so that means April to next year. With the understanding that if you don't pay up, if you don't pay your back bills, or you don't keep current, or what, then you're disconnected. It's automatic.
After June 1st.
No, not,
So
I'm saying if you get with no
May
rate.
payment. You can miss your May payment, we won't disconnect you. We'll probably send you another letter. Hey, after June 1, we're disconnecting.
Wait, I'm saying in the absence of not putting any date for June 1st, all I'm saying is that when you take the proposal number 1, and somebody owes money, and then you say, we have 12 months to pay this. So, April 1st, I signed up, fine. That means my next, I have 12 months, so I have to pay it up by March 31st next year.
The arrears.
The arrears.
And you must stay current.
And current, yes. So comes March 31st. You complete that, then you disconnect.
I think it's set up,
Because it's already spoken for.
Right.
It's already documented.
But if
We
you
have
miss,
that.
but if you miss your August 2021 payment, we can disconnect you in August because you missed your payment plan.
Well, then,
Okay.
I mean, you gotta have a date or else people are not gonna pay.
okay. I mean, that's
That's
where
what
I
happened.
differ from you, from the dates
Okay.
standing.
Maybe
Because
Miguel.
of that how to enroll, and it's a good program. It's good. You signed up with that.
I think the idea,
Miguel,
Mr.
response.
Commissioner Martinez, is we don't want Simon to wait 12, not, so I'm automatically enrolled, and then I wait 12 months till March of 2022, until John's screaming at me, then I run in and pay my whole 12 months. We don't want that either. So we're saying, as you know, you're familiar with payment plans and banks and all that, current plus arrears, current plus arrears, 1/12 of the arrears. In 12 months, you're completely current. But if you miss the payment plan because well, if you miss the payment plan you've enrolled for, or we've enrolled you into, we need still a hammer that says whether it's June 1, July 1, August 1, Simon stops paying in November of 2021. We can't say, Simon, don't pay till next March, and then run in with 8 checks, right? We got to say, Simon, in November, dude, you're not paying your payment plan. We're going to disconnect you December 1. What we've learned is Simon will walk in November and at least get current. He may not pay all the way till March of 22, but he'll pay current to November or August or whenever he had the trouble of paying that particular bill. So it's kind of the way, it's the way to give them time, a year, to pay the arrears and stay current. But you still need a hammer in case I default on my payment plan, which, you know, is a pretty standard industry practice. When you have a loan and you default, they work out a payment plan. You got to keep your payment plan, or else they foreclose. In our case, we disconnect. Right? So that's sort of the logic of. Otherwise, if he didn't have a date, Simon could wait till March of 2022 and run in with 12 checks. But for 12 months, we don't have payment. And that's not fair to everyone else who's paying the bill.
Okay, Miguel, you wanted to add something?
Just to clarify, we have been doing continuous outreach since we suspended the disconnection. So we have had people calling. A couple meetings ago, we had a detailed presentation on the statistics on that. So there has been continuous outreach. And for people now who have signed up between when we stopped disconnections last March and now, if they have signed up for a payment plan, we've been trying to keep them on point with the payment plan. But if they fall behind or they break the payment plan, we still are not disconnected. So the difference would be at this point, after the June 1st date, give ourselves 2 months to, you know, prepare the public for it. And it's a small percentage of our customer base, but it's still revenues that we need to capture, right? And so we're giving them enough notice, and then we implement that, and then after that point, if they break the plan, then we have the ability to disconnect. Just to add that.
Okay, Commissioner Talco? you wanted to say
Yeah,
something?
I think Commissioner Martinez, the June 1st date is based on what the two utilities put together. The purpose is to assist and support the ratepayers. So really, it's kind of like a return to normal. So they're giving them time to say, hey, by the way, we're going to start disconnecting. You can enter into a payment plan. So it's really giving them 2 months, almost 3 months notice, saying prepare for this to come and start getting, you know, your payment plans situated with each of the utilities. So I think that's the purpose of the date, right, is to allow enough time for these ratepayers to know what's coming, when that deadline is, that they got to get their payment plans organized. So I think that's the reason for that date, is just to kind of get the ratepayers prepared for what's to come.
That's correct, because in the beginning, we also made a promise not to disconnect, no? And so we have to end that, you know, when does that end, right? And so that's why we're providing up to the June 1st, so then everybody is aware, because maybe it's not a significant issue or issue for the 93% of the customers, but for the 7% that are coming into this payment plan, they need to really get into understanding that now if they don't pay, they have to make an effort, you know. And if they're not able, you know, of course, we always try to work with them. But the automatic 12-month plan is really, if they owe $1,200, we're going to take that $1,200 and divide it by 12. So they would have to pay their current bill. And if their current bill is $150 or $200 plus the $100, that's the bill that's due in July. If they're not able to pay that bill, that's when they're subject to disconnection. See?
Commissioner?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Just one question then. So on that plan on number 1, if you went through that and you roll them over and everything, is there going to be some documents that they have to sign, right?
we will provide them we will provide them their arrears, right, and their regular bill plus their arrears. But then what they have to pay will be that 112 plus their current to avoid disconnection, even though their arrears are still adding up. So they can pay it any time, but you know, it's just that it's a one way to recover the debt over time. That's all. But we have to begin. Otherwise, we've seen like some of these 3,400 customers. They haven't really paid anything since the pandemic. No. So if they don't see it at the beginning, then they're not going to pay. If they still hasn't made, you know, we're trying to find assistance for them, and then we're going to try and work with them if that's not even the correct formula. But we need to get them understanding with some kind of thing. That's all, and that's why June 1st is the date, and because right now in the public, and especially those that are not paying, they know we're not disconnecting as we had promised with the administration and everything, that we will not disconnect anyone throughout this pandemic period. But now we're trying to reverse it as seamless as possible. That's what we're trying to do.
Okay, Commissioner Chaco.
Okay, and I know we discussed this in the working sessions, but we are still looking for federal funds to help pay down this debt, right? So there's a potential that we could find funds to help pay down this ratepayer debt and avoid these disconnection and payment plans altogether, right?
That's correct. Those are the programs that are mentioning.
That was mentioned.
So right now there's 200 customers that potentially are going to be able to come off that list. But then all we want them to do is beginning 3 months from now, be current, no? At least.
Okay. But I know we discussed this in the working sessions, but I remember us going, asking both utilities to go to the administration regarding the resources that are available through the money, the federal funds that have been allocated. I understand, but that's aside from that, right? So the governor has made mention about using some of that money to build a new hospital.
He's
right?
talking about 661 million.
Right. So we're talking about 5.3 million from GPA, and what's GWA, 4.6 million? I mean, potentially, right, you could request assistance to kind of, erase the ratepayer debt.
But why would we have an outside party, whatever the source of fund, pay for 3,000 people's power and water bill while the other customers had to pay their own power bill? Well, yeah, but it's unfair. But it's unfair to the ones that use their own money to pay their power bill.
So better to disconnect?
It's better for them to apply for these programs, and well, then why don't we ask for 100 million and pay everybody's power bill? I mean, I think it's a slippery slope, right? As we're debating, right? It is a slippery slope.
The point I think, Commissioner Sanchez, it's federal funds, right? It doesn't belong to the law per se. It's money given on behalf of a Democrat president asking to give help. If we don't ask for the help, Commissioner Sanchez, we're not going to get it.
Well, but okay.
We don't ask, believe me, she's not going to give.
But if our ratepayers, I'm sorry.
It doesn't to me at this point what the ratepayers not paying us. What are we going to do?
These ratepayers aren't paying us. The other ratepayers are.
And thank you, because that's us, right? But the unfortunate people that are out there are asking for help. I mean, 30,000 people are unemployed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on behalf of those 30,000 people, we better be asking for help.
But most of those 30,000 got federal funding, as you pointed out, right?
And didn't pay their bills.
No, they did. Only this
How
small.
do you know that?
Because we're only talking about 3,000 accounts out of 90,000 or 9,000.
Ask for $9 million.
Well, because if we tell the community that we're going to ask the governor to pay for unpaid bills, you know how many people are going to stop paying their bills between now and September?
How much did we lose in revenue? What's your amount? What's the revenue loss?
So, if I'm not mistaken, it was 24
million.
20 million.
GPA, what's the revenue loss?
6 million.
6 million. Now, every other institution that I know of can go and ask for help. We don't want to do that.
No, but we all agreed for them to ask for help, right?
So I don't understand what's your version of help.
Well, okay, so you're saying the help we get from the government, you would apply to this receiver?
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't see the difference.
Okay, that's a policy call, and that's okay, I'm okay that we can disagree on policy.
Okay,
I'm just saying, we don't ask for help. I think it's wrong on our part.
we should ask for.
The commission,
We're not asking, right? The point is the money's there, at least I think it's there, and if you don't make a request, then the governor will never know.
so,
Wait, John, wait. I have something to say, John, just a minute.
okay.
I just want to clarify, Commissioner Martinez, just so you understand the June 1st date even a little bit better, everybody who's getting a bill right now and hasn't paid, they're going to keep showing arrearage. My understanding rather, I think this is what I understand. Two general managers, please, Miguel and John. My understanding is that if they auto-enroll all these people, their June bill will have their current bill and a 1/12 amount. That's the trigger, okay? So in other words, when whoever hasn't paid us, their bill is showing arrearage. It's saying this is the current amount arrearage. The next month, that's added to the arrearage. It says this is the current amount arrearage. If we, by informing them of the June 1st date, when they get that bill, that first bill, then it's going to show the current amount plus 1/12 of the prior arrearage. And every month it'll show that. It'll show the 1/12 plus the current amount. And that's why it's important to tell them June 1st, because that triggers in their mind that, okay, all my arrearage is now spread over 12 months, and so I'm not going to see the whole amount as an arrearage. I'm going to see 1/12. If that helps?
Well, then you don't have to wait to June 1st. You don't have to put a date. You can start tomorrow.
Oh, but then, see, we're going to disconnect though. See,
No,
the key.
no, wait, you're not disconnecting. When
Okay.
we go in a contract, and this is a contract, when we go in a contract that we're gonna roll over and we're gonna do the other one, rollover, okay? So you call everybody in and you say, okay, you owe me money, this is your arrears in that one. But we're gonna give you 12 months to pay. And starting now, today, 23rd. Let's start today, and you have 12 months to pay me back. That person, and in your language, you're gonna have to show that anytime that you don't pay this arrear, just like the bank, they'll close you up. But the banks didn't put up a date, you know? I mean, they don't say, June.
No, but they put up if you're 90 days default.
Exactly.
So, and
wait,
that will
let me
tie to a
finish,
date.
sir.
That will tie to a date.
Let me just finish. So, yes, you're right. The bank already spelled out, and even here at the power and the utilities, I'm sure in your billing, something has to show that there's 30, 60, or 90 days arrear will be disconnected. Does it show in the billing?
yeah.
Okay, so that means it's there. It's all automatic. The system is working. The only thing that we're gonna do here is that you're asking to come out and say, no, let's do it now, June 1st. And June 1st, if you don't pay any time after that, I'm gonna disconnect you. Well, you already said it there. You got 30 days, you got 60, you got 90 days.
But we haven't been saying it for
Wait.
the past year.
That's right. And
We-
because of that, now you want to impose a date, which I really don't like the word, just putting a date there, that, because it's already there. The important thing here.
no,
It's not
there's
there.
no
We're not
date.
disconnecting anybody. There is
If
no
I
date
may-
to
Wait,
disconnect it.
we're not
No,
disconnecting.
right
but
now, there's no date.
Let me finish, Simon. After June 1st,
There's a date.
okay,
But right now, there's no date.
June 1st comes June 6th, and you didn't pay your bill, you disconnect. I mean, you know, it's automatic because it was approved. What I'm saying is that you already have the system in place. So if you roll over this 12 month, if we make a new contract for 12 month, you don't need to come out and say, you know, after June 1st, I just want you to know that I'm gonna disconnect you. I mean, my gosh, you told me to sign a paper here, I have 12 months to pay, and the way the chairman is explaining it, 112, 112, 112, and everything, then work with that.
But so if I sign a payment plan in March, right? Or
Yeah.
we're announcing it now. Let's say April, you know, I sign a payment plan in April, right? And I miss my payment in July. do I get disconnected?
Well, I mean, if that's what it calls for in the billing, sure.
Okay, so right now, in our current billing, we have suspended disconnection date. There is no date. So all we're doing is reinstating a date that says, after this date, we reserve the right to disconnect you, just like we had before COVID. We had a date, it was 60 days, or it wasn't a date like June 1, it was the timing of the, and I think part of the, it's not your fault or anything, you know, we're used to, is it 45 days or 60 days we start? So 45 days. All management did is say, today is March, we normally would give you 45 days, that takes you to May 15th, heck, make it June 1. That's all they did, because everything else you said is correct. We do have a system, but we suspended the system since last March. Now we're saying, let's reinstate our old system, effective X, they're saying June 1, but different than pre-COVID, Simon can get a 12-month payment plan, automatically enrolled, in which I do current plus 112. That's not the pre-COVID system. There was no automatic enrollment, there was no automatic 12-month plan. They would negotiate whatever they could negotiate with Mr. Martinez, with Mr. Sanchez, whatever. They're proposing sort of a standard plan for everybody. You're auto-enrolled, and we're telling the whole community, like I'm current with my power bill, but I also know that if I don't stay current after June 1, Mr. Beneventi can disconnect Simon. Right now, Simon doesn't have to worry because there's no date for disconnection. So the first move they have to do is say, when do we resume disconnection of people that haven't paid their bill? That's why they're proposing this June 1. Then they're actually proposing a very good payment plan, the best payment plan we've ever offered to customers, right? And it's standard. You know, there's, they can do case by case, but this is a standard plan for everybody. And it all starts, but they need a start date. So even the customers are aware. Even if I sign my payment plan in March, April, or May, when do you start disconnection if I miss my payment plan? And for the other 93% of our customers who are current, they need to know that, hey, right now you're current, stay current, because after June 1, if you fall non-current, GPA or GWA will start disconnecting. So the relationship is, without the disconnection date set so that the ratepayer can know, the whole system, the whole plan will fall apart, because Peter Roy thinks it's this date, Simon thinks it's that date. They want to say, this is the date. It's June 1. We will resume disconnections that we have suspended since March of 2020, right? Something we used to do all the time, right? And I also think we don't sign contracts with ratepayers, right? We just applied for the meter. That's why I'm curious about promissory notes and all that. When you and I apply for power, we don't have to show a financial statement or anything. We just apply for power and promise to pay. So that we're going to resume that traditional process. They're saying, with our permission, they'd like to resume it June 1st. Because right now, with our permission, they're not disconnecting anybody. So they want to resume. They're proposing a date up to us, and that's sort of what we're debating.
Yeah.
Okay,
So may, Mr. Chair?
John, go ahead.
She is correct. From the beginning, we've suspended disconnection without any notice of when. We keep on because of the pandemic, right? So similarly to the bank, there was the banks that suspended payment, no? And they say July, August, and September. But that means October, everything go back to normal, right? So so I took that and I suspended for the 3 months, but then I made sure that I started paying in October, right? So here, there's no, that wasn't detailed. Right now is open-ended. So all we're saying now is that, we're giving this non-disconnection up to June 1st. After June 1st, the automatic payment plan is not really like a contract. It's really a consideration for the customers. Because if the disconnection policy as per normal, we go back to normal on June 1st, if they're in arrears, they have to pay everything. Because they didn't come in to make a payment arrangement or anything like that. So if they owe $1,200, they needed to come in, otherwise they'll be disconnected. So all we're saying is that in further consideration, we will take that 1,200 and divide it by 12 and give you $100 that you must pay together with your current by the following month, no? So whatever that due within 30 days after that, if you will, no? So that you don't get disconnected. If you do not adhere to that payment plan, then the full amount becomes due. So now you still owe the 12 plus the following month again. So therefore, at that point, either we try to work something out or work. Now you start getting into promissory notes. To get reconnected, you have to come up with some plan with a promissory note because it's a constant breaking of the contract. So that's been the process and kind of the process we're trying to bring. But I think, you know, the public need to know that there is a disconnection date. Otherwise, we'll never hear the end of it. Is that often why you're disconnecting when you're with the governor and everybody said there's no, and that's what they're waiting for. Because I've seen even they're just not paying their bills at all. But you know, so it's a further consideration to assist them at that point. But it's just that we're back to normal under the normal policies that are in place June 1st. That's all.
Commissioner Sanchez.
So, excellent discussion, colleagues. So, I was reflecting on Commissioner Santos's point of view, and I can see that piece. You know, when we say we lost 20 million in revenue, or whatever your number was, right? And John lost. Revenue went down. Right? We didn't lose it because we didn't sell the power to it, and we didn't sell the water to it, right? So, but what we had was revenue went down because of the COVID. Revenue is not receivables until you sell it. Right? We sold less last year to people, but what we did sell, we've collected 95, 98%, right? We're now dealing with this universe of folks that's $9-10 million owed to both companies that need help, right? Which is what Commissioner Santos is stressing. So, and so there's a difference between saying, Governor, help us with the revenue we didn't sell to the hotels and the revenue we didn't sell. That's a way to think about it. But I also appreciate what Commissioner Santos is saying. Maybe we advise the governor, because we've already written the governor that, hey, we want to work with you and we want to do these programs. But maybe we can work with the governor to say, look, there's $9-10 million that was sold to someone. They had trouble paying it. And yes, you've got all those programs, but I think as Tracy's alluded to, some of those programs are really complicated. Can she fund the receivable for needy people, either through those programs or some direct subsidy? Because I'm not sure we're in slippery slope when we say, Governor, all the hotels that didn't pay GPA and GWA revenue, that would have been 20-30 million, give us that money, right? Because that's not a receivable. We never sold it, we never billed it, we didn't provide the service for it. This is how do we help receivables? And so that's where I appreciate what Commissioner Santos is saying. We now have some numbers we can share with the governor specific to receivable, right? But the other piece of the puzzle I just caution us is in those receivables, you know, there are some really needy people. There may be some other people that aren't so needy, that just aren't paying their bill. And the question will become, so why are we helping that person that could pay their bill, right? And you know, I run a laundry business. My people don't get paid $100,000 a year, but between Gpwa, FPOC, and these other programs, we've kept them employed. And it appears, even though there's 30,000 under or unemployed, somehow most of them have found a way through the federal assistance programs to stay current. So maybe it's a matter of, I think it's almost semantics in our case. We're thinking about two things. Overall sales that were lost because we didn't have tourism, we didn't have this or that. And sales we actually made, but we didn't collect. We're talking about sales we made but didn't collect. And we got to help. How do we think about helping those people through these programs? Maybe as Commissioner Santos is suggesting, that if the governor is willing to give us $8-10 million that we could apply to these receivables, then that would help. The only thing I get nervous about is the other 95% of the people saying, why are you paying their bill but not my bill? And And I don't know if we want, that's a Pandora's box once you open. At least if that's our policy call, we're going to have to be prepared to say, yeah, Fred Smith, who has a job but didn't pay his bill, gets his bill paid for by the government, and my laundry worker who paid their bill and, you know, makes $20,000, $25,000 a year, still has to pay the power bill and got no help, all right? So that's just where I get a little nervous about paying someone else's bill. These plans say Simon will pay his bills, we're just gonna give him a long time to become current, but it's still his bill, because that's not fair to all the other people that did pay their bill, right? So it's just, that's, I think, the conceptual debate.
Commissioner Mchako.
Yeah, and the only comment to that is, at the end of the day, it's really to help the utilities recover money that they're out right now, so it doesn't matter where we get it from. But I do want to make a comment on the joint effort by both utilities to come up with a unified date and a unified plan to address the repayment plans, and to have a strategy to that is well crafted and applies to both utilities. I think this type of solution should be kind of the benchmark going forward, when that you both come together and you have a unified message and a strategy to address issues like this. It should be applied to more issues. But good job.
And I think that's, thank you, Commissioner. I think that's the direction the Commission has laid out for us very early on. And hopefully, and we try. But I would like to answer, though, a couple of questions. I know Commissioner Santos asked the question last time and, about us writing also to the governor about the revenue loss of $6 million. And we're answering, the answer is $6 million, and unless you say no, I'm going to be writing the governor to. But in addition to that, we can inform the governor about our receivables from the 4 million that are delinquent at the same time, and is there other opportunities for assistance through whatever program. So I can put both in the letter that I can send to the governor this week.
Yeah, you can
and
do
I
both.
think that's what Commissioner Santos wanted. No?
Yeah, I think you can do both. And, you know, basically, the other view is the fact that, to me, the workers who got less hours are being given money to help them make up that difference. The utilities sold less power and less water and got less sewer revenue through no fault of their own, so it's the same thing. They're just saying, okay, can you give me that portion? I was making this amount, I was now partially unemployed, so if you want to make it up, we'd like to take it. And that's the view I have of asking for the revenue loss. In other words, you have a guy, he's working at the laundromat, and all of a sudden you have to cut hours because business is not there. No problem. So, but he has a way of applying for this program. So I look at it and say, businesses, and I think all businesses, private, us, everybody, should be able to say, in view of the $661 million, should say, we also lost, and if you could help us make up that difference, we could get back on our feet faster, hire more people faster. I'm just saying, there's that other view. It doesn't mean, yeah.
Right, but
So all I'm saying is, I don't want to prolong the discussion. I just want to say that's another view.
Yeah. But in PPP, I applied to a program and got the money so I could pay these guys.
I didn't mean to prolong I just wanted to say that could be another view. Okay?
There's issues on both sides, yeah.
There are issues on both sides, and while
So what do we wanna do?
Commissioner Martinez is new to this, we don't always agree on everything, which is okay, but it's the discussion that is good, okay? And basically, the two general managers, it's their authority to suspend, because this is an operational matter. They're coming to us, but we want to be informed of what they're doing, and they're very good at doing this. So now they're giving us the information. I think they've come up with a good plan, I join Commissioner Mchalco in saying this is nice because now we have everybody on the same page. I like that. And so, good plan, and I think you should kick it into gear. Okay?
Question, Mr. Chair?
Commissioner
So
Sanchez.
is GWA gonna have an auto-enroll program like GPA, and is there a reason
I would
why?
ask the board for flexibility to, we don't have it set up, we don't know, we'd have to figure out what it would take programming-wise to set it up in the system that way. But I'd ask for the flexibility to allow us to do it the way we have been doing it with payment plans, written payment plans, out to as much as 12 months.
Okay. So
Prior
just
to that,
use your-
it was
use your
50%
existing-
6 months, now we're doing 12 months, and we'd ask for that continued flexibility. We think we can make it work the way we have been.
And GPA can auto-enroll, and you're comfortable with your system
Yes.
to get people enrolled?
Yeah, you'll come to the same end, I think,
End
that's
up on
what
the
we're
same
saying.
Same place.
premise.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
And it's June 1st, though, is the,
Yes, we're in
That's-
agreement on June
that's-
1st.
and,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
and you're telling us, I don't believe you're
You
not
don't
asking
need-
us for approval.
Yeah.
You're telling us.
Your
I mean,
plan.
I guess theoretically, we could vote to say no, but we have to pick a different date.
Yeah, we could.
Can't
we
say
could-
never.
Yes,
I
we can
think
come
that
back.
as long as we're all in the same mode that we're going
Yeah.
out June 1st,
Okay.
I think that's all the message
I don't
to
think
me.
that's a resolution for decision, though.
No, it isn't.
You're
It isn't.
advising the
I'm just saying, that's why I'm saying this is a good discussion, but the decisions are
We have someone
theirs
to
to
blame.
make. Okay? They have to collect the money. That's their job. Okay?
So June
Okay.
1, correct us if I'm wrong, June
Yeah.
1 is the new date to resume disconnections
Right.
of power or water customers that fail to pay their bill or pay their plan.
Or intended,
plan,
whatever.
Or any combination thereof, right?
Okay.
And the utilities are offering as much as a 12-month
Pay.
window to pay arrears, and the basic strategy is current plus 112, so that in 12 months, you've caught up.
Okay.
Continue to work with that.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
one last thing,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair, for myself,
Yes.
DSM, there were question was asked, I think, about commercial. We're rolling out in May, several,
Okay.
DSM.
So bring us the
High
program.
efficiency ductless, I will send it to you, but
Send
there's
it to
several
us.
programs that are,
Yeah.
yeah, rolling out.
Okay.
Other than that, if you want me to go through my GM report,
No.
I can do that now.
No,
Was it different from last week?
No, it's not much
No.
different for that. Okay.
Commissioner Martinez, you're going to find out John always talks for only 5 minutes.
5 minutes, my 5-minute GM report.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Miguel, you're up to bat. Let's go. We still have more to do.
Speaking of wastewater.
Yeah, no. No, go ahead, no, just need-
Yeah, just go ahead.
No changes
No changes.
to the
Okay.
GM report, but one page addition, just workforce availability was inserted, so you can see that in the board books, but it hasn't changed substantially from last month.
Okay.
So, moving on to the resolutions.
Okay. Go ahead. Resolution
May-
13, FY21.
Yes, Resolution 13 FY 2021, and this is approving our charge-off of receivables that are deemed uncollectible. At the work session, the board asked us to remove the government accounts and payables, which we did, and so that amended, or that corrected amount, revised amount, is 120 customers and 1.533 million, which we are seeking your approval to charge off.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Is there a second?
A second.
Second? Any further discussion? These are old accounts where nobody's around anymore, so,
And Commissioner Martinez, during the working session, they had receivables that were going to be written off that were attributed to GPA. We had them remove it.
yeah, we said GPA has to pay
So
their bill.
they could go get, GPA can pay.
That's pretty normal.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, GPA can pay their
Bill.
their bill.
Okay, so, any further discussion? No? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Silence out of the room, it'll show 4 ayes. And 1 absent, or, yes. No, we just voted on GWA's resolution, your vote is?
Which resolution?
this is the one to write off the accounts?
Uncollectible receivables.
I vote aye, sorry.
Aye, okay,
They
unanimous.
removed GPA's.
Yeah, we removed the GovGuam accounts,
Mr.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay? Okay. Miguel?
The next one is Resolution 14 FY 2021, and this is relative to updating our GWA's overtime policy for exempt employees to align with the recently amended Fair Labor Standards Act and narrow the applicability of overtime related to emergency situations. So the revisions that the board sought from the work session have been incorporated. So there is no reference to non-exempt overtime.
Okay.
Sorry, exempt overtime.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion.
All those in, second? Is there
I
second?
had a question.
Okay, is there a second first? There's a motion to
second
approve?
for the-
Second?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, you had a question?
Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner
So,
Gontalvo.
so the positions then now, Miguel, that are in the, I think there was an addendum or attachment, Appendix A, now are only non-exempt, right? So there was no distinction on exempt employees? You removed that portion of,
The listing still shows
Still
who's
shows
exempt and who's
exempt?
non-exempt, but the applicability is only to
To
the
the exempt.
non-exempt.
non-exempt. So we removed the overtime provision for exempt.
Exempt,
That's
yes.
correct, okay. No,
Okay.
no questions.
Any further questions? No? All those on the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed nay, motion carries unanimous.
The remaining two joint resolutions have already been.
Have
acted
already
upon.
been done, yes, good. Now, we do have, commissioners, we do have some rules update that was emailed out to everybody. They're also included in board books. These are just to the evaluation forms. We made some changes, the attorneys, the general managers. I've looked at them. Commissioner Lintaco, have you reviewed them? I mean,
Yeah, these are the same reviews that were consistent with how we performed our reviews on the last the last fiscal year,
Okay,
so
so
no
could-
questions.
could we have a motion to approve them in whole? All of the, to amend the rules? To allow for the, that's what this is. Okay, I need a motion. So move, Commissioner Sanchez.
I move to
Is there,
approve the revised and updated evaluation forms for the GWA GM, the GPA GM, the GWA CFO, the GPA CFO, and the two councils for GPA and GWA.
okay, is there a second to that? Second, Commissioner Santos? Go ahead, sure.
I'm just going, we updated these on different dates, is that what I'm reading here?
Yes,
If you look at the bottom, there's
yes.
some that have dates on it, some of them don't. Is that
I,
consistent?
Oh, I see what you're
yes.
saying.
I think what happened is it was updated after we did the evaluation. So it followed, I think, the evaluation date, Commissioner Chaco?
That's correct.
Yeah,
Okay,
so,
so I think if you go back, I think there's just one that's
Doesn't have a date.
missing, right, which is
The GPA
CFO.
GM, is that one? Oh,
GPA
yeah,
CFO
you're
doesn't
right,
have
a date.
an updated date.
But this resolution will establish
Right.
that on this date, we updated it like this.
okay,
So,
Okay.
in effect, we did it.
so,
It's just for record purposes, we want to know when we.
okay. Could
In
we,
effect, it's today.
yeah, could we approve the motion though, and we'll make sure the date is entered? We'll go back.
This is the date.
Okay.
We now adopted the new forms.
Okay.
Starting, this is the we passed it.
Okay, you're good? Any further discussion? No further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I oppose nay, motion carries. And there's only one other thing before we go to the executive session, and it's not on here, so I'm going to ask the commission what the pleasure is. Former Commissioner Guthards was the chair for the audit committee, and Commissioner Nchako was the vice chair for the audit committee. So I would ask, I think it's proper for the commission as a whole to elect the new chair, and I suggest Commissioner Nchako. So could we have a motion? I think that would be proper.
Willing to serve?
Yes.
Yeah,
I move that we make Commissioner Limtiaco the new chair of the audit committee.
is there a second to that?
Second.
Second? No discussion? No objections? Okay,
Do we need a
close?
vice chair?
Well, no, usually the chair selects a vice chair, right? I think that's the way it works.
Sure.
Okay, cut that out. Okay, listen. Okay, so, on the motion to elect Commissioner Taco as our chair now for the audit committee, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimous. Commissioner Taco, you were also.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, in light of taking on an additional committee, I'd like to step down from the cybersecurity committee, and I'd like to nominate Commissioner Santos for that committee.
Are you, okay, second? Okay, he accepts? Okay, no further discussion? All those,
I thought we're dumping it all on here.
no,
Isn't he the vice chairman of every committee now?
yes.
We can
There
make
you
the
go.
motion and we go 4-1.
Okay. Getting back to the order here. No further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimous? Yeah, he'll draft you. Okay, we have an executive session. Where's, Kelly, do you have a letter?
Motion to,
Okay, wait.
motion to go into executive session.
Yes. Motion to go into executive session based on our advice of counsel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Was it on the agenda?
Let's, yes, it
Yes.
is on the agenda.
Okay, good.
Let's take a 10-minute recess for a minute. Let's go use the bathroom. Right.
Can you, wait, you want to do another picture?
Oh, okay, quick.